Welcome to Mornings on Main Street for this Tuesday, the 2nd of January. I'm your host, Stefanie Miller. So glad you're joining us today. Coming up, we talk property tax relief with Montgomery County Trustee Kimberly Wiggins. After that, our Tennessee traveler, Tom Adkinson, shares with us the beauty of Alvin York State Park. And then we hear about the incredible work being done by Dr. Kevin Kennedy and his team at the Tongue Tie Center in Clarksville. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Beginning January 1, Delta Dental of Tennessee is introducing enhanced benefits for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
It'll include extra cleaning times for people with special needs, extra time for exams. More importantly, we will create a training program that any dentist office in the state can go online and pick that up.
At Delta Dental, we believe that the quality of oral health care should be accessible and inclusive for all.
He shoots, and he scores!
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Witness more than 1,000 handcrafted Chinese lanterns featuring brand new designs, including towering mythical beasts, a life-size Santa's workshop, and a 100-foot-long dragon. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
There is no better time than now to start thinking about taxes. Today, that is something we're touching on, tax relief for veterans. To help us do this, to walk us through what we need to know, what you need to know as a veteran or a spouse, we have Kimberly Wiggins, who is the Montgomery County Trustee. Thank you, Kimberly, for your time.
Thank you for having us.
This is a passion for you. This is what you do day in and day out. What is the first thing that veterans need to know about tax relief?
We are now accepting applications Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30. It is only 2 sheets of paper. If your driver's license has your current address, that's all we need. You come down to our office, you sign an application that says, I am Kimberly Wiggins. I live at this address. I have not received tax relief anywhere else. And then you sign a form. We call it an F-16. We love numbers in the military and the government. And you'll sign a form that says the state can ask the VA to prove that you're honorably discharged. Mm-hmm. You have some permanent and total disability. And from there, that's how you're on the program.
Why don't, more veterans come in to take, advantage of the tax relief that's there for them already?
That is my Achilles heel. As you know, we have almost 34,000 veterans in our community. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones who decide to live here, stay here, play here, retire here. I think it's, as much as we're getting the word out, it's still continuing to do things like this, to talk to you who care. You're like, how do we help our veterans? Mm-hmm. It's getting the word out. The second thing, I think some of our veterans strongly believe, I served my country. I'm not due this benefit. Why should I do that? There's somebody else who deserves it. And that's no farther from the truth, because there's an allocation, an appropriation waiting. Mm-hmm. In Tennessee, we have an appropriation of $43 million a year for all 95 counties. And in our county, we are the largest and when it comes to veterans tax relief and otherwise, because we have 2 other programs. But they just think maybe it's complicated. Mm-hmm. There used to be a time there was a myth that said you had to be 100% permanent and total. That was it. And that's not the case anymore. You can have some service-connected disability that's permanent and total.
Okay.
And if you've ever seen VA math, and I know you have, we love our VA.
Yes, you do.
And you see that someone is 3,000% disabled, yet their total overall rating may be 70%. Don't worry about any of that. 5 minutes at the trustee's office. And the difference maybe they don't know how much the benefit is. This year, the benefit from the state is $818. That's for all 95 counties.
Okay.
And so up to that amount. So if your taxes are $799, that's how much it will cover. If your taxes are $1,000, it will relieve you of the $818.
And a little bit helps. I mean, a little bit goes a long way this day and age.
Absolutely.
Any other changes that have been made or things that have been updated?
Well, spouses, the surviving spouse, if and when the veteran passes away, the surviving spouse can remain on the program as long as they live and as long as they don't remarry. They can move to a smaller house, a bigger house. Life changes.
Right.
We need different things as far as our accommodations. But the surviving spouse can remain on that program.
So again, if you're out there and you're seeing this and you know of a veteran, who would like information, is it okay to say, go to your trustee's office, go
Absolutely.
and ask them? That's what they're there for.
Yes, and you bring up a very important component. Of course, ratings happen every day, all year long. For us, we open up the time frame to apply earlier this year. Normally it's November.
Okay.
We started accepting applications September 15th. I'm so excited. And that was born out of people walking in our office throughout the summer when they received a new rating, and they would say, we used to say, well, come back in November when we take applications. And we thought, maybe that's their disability. Maybe they won't remember to come back.
Right.
We started a list maybe mid-July until mid-September. We had 366 people on that list.
Wow.
Let me tell you, when our tax roll was given to us early by our assessor in August, and we were able to call more people and get them in early, my heart was so happy, because the first time it can take up to a year. Because what happens at the VA, on the VA side, we send the form, it's administered by our office. It is a program that's overseen by the state. The state sends it to, let's say Stefanie Miller is our VA connection. Stefanie Miller has her day job and this job. So Stefanie's working through the files to make sure we get the approvals. So it makes it a little timely, not timely, it adds a little time to it. The other side is at the state level in the comptroller's office, there's about 9 people who are working these files for 95 counties. So that's why we always tell them, you can call the state, but call us, because we're your advocate. We're going to make sure that if there's anything missing, wrong, any updates, we will check to make sure that that's taken care of, because they're my veterans in my community.
Right, right. And again, though it seems like a long time, you have to get that ball rolling at some point.
Absolutely.
To get to the end point, to be able to get that money. Talk to, the other individuals that work in a trustee's office who are, again, getting these questions day in and day out for such a long period of time.
Yeah.
It can get exhausting. How do you keep the energy up in your office and keep them, positive and encouraged to continue helping the veterans that come in?
So it helps that we're a very patriotic city and county. And so most of the people in the office, including me, are married to retired veterans. So that's helpful because we understand the lifestyle. We also understand that because our veterans have had to fight so much, sometimes they come in with a fight mentality, and we're like, oh, no, you're my veteran. I'm happy to do this. But to your point, you answer the same questions again, we're the largest program.
Right.
Everybody in our office, hands-on, it takes care of our applications and our questions. But there's times when I say, don't answer the phones. There's 3 of us who will answer the phones on your behalf. If you are fatigued and you just had 20 applications in a day, because they are easy to accept from veterans and their widows, you may need to go to the back to process some of your applications. So I want to protect what the customer service level that I expect, but I also want to have to protect my team to make sure when you just had a bad day yourself, because life happens, I want to make sure we give grace. And it goes both ways.
Right. Anything else with your office, with the trustee's office, when it comes to taxes that we need to know before we end this year, 2023?
Please let me know if you need more information. I'm happy to speak to a group of 1, 2, 5, 100. We've spoken to realtors because we know everybody goes to a realtor, right?
Yes. Yep.
Realtors know all the things. And so making sure that whether it's your civic organization, your church organization, our military affiliations, I'm happy to talk, because I think, again, there's this, sometimes government can be scary, and we have worked so hard to break down that barrier where it's a welcoming place. And also, we're helping other people. So we do have tax relief for people over 65. We have tax relief for homeowners at any age who are disabled as per the Social Security Administration. So you can be 15 and the house is deeded to you and you're disabled, you can be on the program. And we also have tax freeze. That is a huge benefit to our taxpayers over 65. This year, if their income is $42,890 or less, we can freeze their taxes. So we know next year we have a appraisal year reevaluation. Your value can go up, but you're frozen. Next year, here's some really good news, hot off the press. The state legislation had approved that if the county commission chooses, they can raise the income limit to $60,000. That is a huge game changer.
Why is that?
Because a lot of the people who retire, you think about teachers, you think about educational assistants, nurses. A lot of our retirees, they receive a COLA along with the COLA we receive for tax freeze. $42,890 sounds like a lot of money until you're a retired teacher and you're at 43, 44. So it's going to help a lot of people who are retired, who have worked so hard to earn a pension, including our folks who we do have the poor amongst us. We have people who make $9,000 a year. They're our neighbors and friends, so we're happy to administer. And not every county has tax freeze. Only 23 counties in the state of Tennessee have tax freeze.
Is that easy to look up for those who are seeing this to see where they are in this? Okay.
Yes, it is. I have it on my website. They can look it up there at Montgomery County Trustee and look up tax relief. The other component is at $60,000. That will start next year. Okay. People come in, they bring in their income, it's less than 60 or at 60, and now they can freeze their taxes, and now they can stay in their homes. We don't want to outprice people from their homes. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited to hear that. And like you said, you just don't know how someone else is living and the income they have coming in and what is that saying my mother used to say? You're robbing Peter to pay Paul to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. So that is huge. Thank you for sharing that with us. And with this segment, please share it. Make sure your loved ones, your people in your circle have this information. Kimberly Wiggins, the Montgomery County Trustee, we appreciate you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Anytime. Stick with us right here on Mornings on Main Street. We'll be right back.
At Implant and General Dentistry, we're proud to offer dental care you can trust. Our team, led by Dr. Andrew Flips, is dedicated to serving our community with the highest quality of care. We offer comprehensive dental exams, cleanings, whitening, and more. With our compassionate and experienced team, you'll be able to smile with confidence. Come experience the difference for yourself. Call us today to schedule an appointment or visit our website to learn more.
Sherry's Hope is dedicated to sharing the hope of Christ, protecting the health of our community, and supporting those who are fighting cancer. You can be a champion of hope this season. When you give monthly to Sherry's Hope, you help meet the needs of families in our community as they are battling cancer. Your monthly gift of $10 or more gives hope all year. Together, we can make a difference.
At Chapels, we pride ourselves on offering a wide variety of the freshest fruits and vegetables, handpicked just for you. We have a wide selection of the freshest, highest quality meats that will leave your taste buds craving more. Our friendly staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. We believe in treating every customer like family because at Chapels, your family is our family. We've been locally owned and operated for over 60 years. You can visit any of our Chapels locations in Dixon, White Bluff, McEwen, and Centerville.
One of the most decorated United States Army soldiers from World War I is Sergeant Alvin York. And you can visit Sergeant Alvin York State Historic Park and to tell us of what we can expect when we make a visit to this historic area to learn more about this incredible person. We have our Tennessee traveler, Tom Adkinson, with us because he's already made the trip. He's already checked out this spot. Tom, always good to see you.
Good morning. Glad to see you.
Good morning to you, too. So what an interesting historical spot to visit here in the state of Tennessee.
Alvin York is a certified hero. And even though his exploits were now more than 100 years ago, his story, it still resonates. He was a farm boy pulled out of the backwoods of Tennessee in World War I. I mean, he lived about as far back as you can get. He was up in the Cumberland Mountains, almost to the Kentucky line. You know, it was backwoods, and he got yanked out of there and thrust into the trench warfare of World War I in France. And what he did in 1918 made him an international hero.
So what can we learn about what he did in 1918? Do they have anything there at that location that kind of walks us through, you know, what made him a hero during that time?
Yes, there's a number one, there's a very good little visitor center
Mhm.
that has biographical information and details about the Wolf River Valley where he lived.
Mhm.
And then his house that the state of Tennessee built for him after the war as a thank you is there. And near the house is a reproduction of a World War I battlefield trench. And it's frankly eerie to walk through that and realize the terror and mayhem that resulted from trench warfare. The Ukrainians right now are involved in similar activities, which is just a gruesome thought. York's exploit, the day that got him so famous, he and a group of other soldiers were basically ambushed, as I understand the story. He was an extraordinary marksman. He captured 4 German officers, turned the tide of that skirmish battle, and they captured 128 more German soldiers and walked them back to the Allied lines. In the movie Sergeant York, it's rather amazing to watch. You know, that's Hollywood's version of it.
Mhm.
But regardless of the exact circumstances of that day, it was almost beyond belief. So here's this backwoods guy from the Cumberland Mountains who with his compatriots capture 132 of the enemy. It's an amazing story.
Oh, I'd say that it is. And he received the Congressional Medal of Honor and a number of other accommodations after that happened.
Absolutely, yes. He was a majorly big time hero, and he was modest by nature. When he got home and he was surprised by the house, apparently, at least according to the movie version of it. He wanted to go back to anonymity.
Yeah.
And he did not want his story commercialized. And for 2 decades, nothing happened. It didn't. And he saw the rise of fascism before World War II. And at that point, permitted the Sergeant York movie to be made.
Really?
It was his motivation to tell the world that something bad's about to happen. And that movie came out right before Pearl Harbor and was part of that fervor of American patriotism that really ignited with the Pearl Harbor attack.
Wow. So as people travel there to the Sergeant Alvin York State Historic Park, there is a white farmhouse. There's also a grist mill. What's the significance of the grist mill being there?
The grist mill is a corn mill, corn grinder, big, pretty red frame building that is a mill that York bought and ran for more than a decade. And it's just pretty. Grist mills are nice to begin with. They're on the water. There's a turning grist water wheel. There's a dam that backs up whatever body of water is there. Just a pretty place to see. And indeed, that mill dam creates almost a mile of slack water back up the Wolf River. And the state park has periodic little canoe outings on the Wolf River. And if you bring your own canoe, you can get out on that water yourself anytime you want. It's good trout water, it's good bass water, it's good catfish water. You can get some history and some recreation at the same time.
Oh, and talk about a picturesque setting. So is there a charge to go and take a tour?
There are charges for things like a guided tour of the house or a canoe trip, but you can enjoy the park without having to pay for anything.
Tom, thank you. Another great spot for us to visit, and we appreciate you sharing those tidbits with us. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome. Y'all keep traveling.
We sure will. All right, stick with us here on Mornings on Main Street. We have more coming up right after this.
Welcome to Grin Doctors, your trusted pediatric dentistry and orthodontics practice. Achieve healthy, beautiful smiles with our expert care. At Grin Doctors, we are committed to your child's oral health and well-being. Trust Grin Doctors, your pediatric dental home for exceptional care. We go above and beyond to ensure the comfort and satisfaction of our young patients. Grin Doctors Kids Dental and Orthodontics is right down the street in Old Hickory, TN. Easy to get to and in your neighborhood.
You know that feeling you get when your team goes big? You can get that same feeling on Zen Sports. When you sign up for a Zen Sports account, you will receive up to a $1,000 no danger first wager. That's right. When you place your first bet in Zen Sports, you can be reimbursed for the amount of your first bet up to a $1,000 maximum if the bet loses. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 customer support and faster withdrawals like Zen Sports. Zen Sports, betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
This morning, I am so happy to start off with this particular interview with Dr. Kevin Kennedy Jr. with a very special service that is offered here in Clarksville for babies and infants with a particular issue in their mouth with their tongue.
Yes.
And it is here at the Tongue Tie Center. First off, thanks so much.
Yeah, you almost got tongue-tied saying
You know, it's funny, I've been looking over this throughout the entire morning, and you do get a little tongue-tied.
Yes. Yeah.
What is it that this service, what is this?
Yeah, so ultimately our goal is for our moms who are wanting to breastfeed their babies and are struggling, whether it's from pain, whether it's from lack of weight gain with the baby, whether it is gassy symptoms or reflux type behavior, our goal is to help improve that relationship so mom and baby can have the healthiest breastfeeding relationship possible. Now sometimes that extends into some later months and bottle feeding and our toddlers and preschool age kids, but the majority of patients that we see here at the Tongue Tie Center are infants less than 3 months old.
How long have you offered this? Because you have the Spring Creek Pediatric Dentistry.
Yes.
That's also a mouthful. Yeah. How long have you had this service?
So we started officially branded as the Tongue Tie Center right around COVID time. Okay. I've been doing the procedures for a while, but we specifically branched out with this business and rebranded to try to make the public aware that we are offering these services here locally in Clarksville. Mm-hmm. And it also allows us to create systems that give faster access to our moms. So we will have moms maybe send us a form online at midnight and they're up in tears because it is just not good. Or they'll call us at 4 p.m. the day before, I really need to be seen. And we've been able to, because it's a separate business, create systems where we can usually see them the next day and provide that service really, really quickly because they're in need. They're sleep deprived, they're exhausted, the baby's not gaining weight. It's a really, really emotional time for these families. So creating the separate business and rebranding it is somewhat marketing, but a lot of it is more allowing us to kind of jump around the hurdles that were creating obstacles for us and providing timely care before and then get them care faster.
What causes a baby or an infant to have that tongue-tie issue?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I don't think we really know, but it is a simple string under the tongue. It's called a frenum. Now, every child has a frenum. Every baby has a frenum. It's just that some are more restrictive than others. So an easy analogy, yeah. So this is an infant that we saw recently here, was really, really struggling, and we performed the procedure, and mom was better same day. Mom said it feels better. The baby is, sleeping longer because they're getting a more volume of milk faster in a more efficient time. And it was one of ours, not everyone is like this, but one of our miracle babies where day of things were dramatically improved. So we were really, really pleased with that, which is kind of challenging because when you look at that from a doctor's perspective or a provider's perspective, you see a tiny string, but it is not something that's extremely obvious. And the typical example of what a tongue tie might look like when you Google it and you see this huge thick band of tissue all the way to the tip of the tongue. And that's what's created some confusion among providers in our areas. And my goal is not to say that my opinion is the right one or this or that. I just say, hey, here's what we've seen. We've been able to provide this service and moms have found it really helpful in their breastfeeding journey.
I can only imagine what this means for our area, for Montgomery County being one of the fastest growing counties, Clarksville being one of the fastest growing cities in our state. You have surrounding counties. I can only imagine how nice it is for mothers to have this so close.
Yes, and surprisingly, we have about a 2-hour driving radius. Pretty regularly. So, I mean, we'll see patients from Jackson up into Bowling Green and Paducah very regularly. Not so much down into Metro Nashville, but East Tennessee for sure. We have had a patient from Memphis all the way to Bristol. And so for our families who are local, it does provide a lot of advantage because we can then tailor it to, do we need to do both a lip and a tongue procedure today? Well, for someone who's driving 3 hours, that probably makes sense. For our local families, we can kind of decide, is there one that we should try first and see how much that helps and then return for the second one if it's necessary. But I'm a Clarksville boy, born and raised, went to public schools here, went to Austin Peay, so it is very special for me to provide what is somewhat of a unique service here in town, in the community that I love.
How did you find yourself providing this? I mean, is this something you're either familiar with, or did you just kind of stumble across it?
What happened is my daughter, who is now 8, I watched my wife in the corner of our bedroom curl her toes in tears, how painful it was, and watched her struggle for 6 months, and eventually gave up because she couldn't endure it anymore. And I just thought, well, maybe this is just what it is. And then when she was 11 months old, I sat in a lecture in San Antonio about how tongue ties can affect breastfeeding, and I was hit with shock of that's exactly what we just went through. And I didn't know. I just had no idea. It's not really taught mainstream in traditional dental schools and in residency, because there's still some level of this is more of a functional procedure than maybe it is a disease procedure. So if you don't have this treated, it's not like things deteriorate in a disease fashion and your baby will die. It's just you don't get the full thriving that your baby can have, right? And so it's not a disease-based treatment is what I mean but to say by that. But when I saw this presentation, it was very eye-opening, and I thought, I've got to learn more. So that was 2017, 2018. I spent probably 2 years learning as much as I could and not offering the procedure. And then in 2018, 2019, I did my first couple ones. And then, 2020 started doing it full time. And we probably see 3 or 4 or 5 babies a day now that come here for us.
Really?
Yes.
But I mean, obviously, the relief that you're giving to this mom and comfort that you're giving to that baby now that they can take in more milk, and of course that mother not feeling that pain.
Sure. Yeah, and American Academy of Pediatrics says that breastfeeding is the healthiest way for a baby to feed for a certain period of time. So my thought on that is, if there are ways that we can help babies have the healthiest feeding method possible, then we should do it.
What's that recovery time for the baby?
Amazingly, very, very fast. So usually babies will be fussy for a day or so, but we encourage moms to breastfeed right away. So sometimes mom will come in, she's had mastitis, she's had bleeding nipples, cracked nipples, whatever it is, she's exhausted, and we'll perform the procedure, give the baby back to her. They're apart 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll go in maybe 10 minutes later and say, how was it? She's like, no pain. It's amazing. It is really, really fun. It's way better than doing baby teeth.
I can only imagine.
Yes.
I spent quite a while going through your website. So for those who would like to know more about the Tongue Tie Center here in Clarksville, what a frenum is, how all of this works, where do we go to get that?
ClarksvilleTongueTie.com. Spent a lot of energy because this is very much an educational piece. And so the way that we are able to really streamline services is because if you have time on the website, you'll see everything that your child might struggle from, what we're looking for, how we do the procedure, what to expect post-op. So our goal is when you come in that we are ready, we're going to give you the honest evaluation. I won't do anything to your kid that I wouldn't do to my own. We can do this procedure same day, and that way when you need help fast, that's what we're here to do.
Thank you so much for joining us here for Mornings on Main Street today. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.